Alright, right into a Legends recap. Got to play Legends last night. Where we left off was after the fight with what I'll come to find out is members of the Pride. At first, I thought they were a slightly different race, like it would be a Caucasian Asian like kind of thing on our planet. Because like there was a couple things they said uh, that seemed almost derogatory towards Opal when referencing her race as the Pride. But apparently, they're all just like kind of under the same umbrella in a sense. But they are, as Emrys theorized, the survivors of the Wakefall planet being destroyed. We sit down with Conrad. He takes us out to this like kind of remote location that's like very, I guess, like off the beaten path, like kind of more like a campsite bar barbecue type place, like a backwoods kind of thing. I joke about backwoods barbecue. That's the barbecue joint that actually opened close to where I live, and yeah, we had just gotten something to eat earlier that evening, so it was funny the way it worked out. And very well still kind of a similar vibe. Um, and he kind of brings me up to speed. He and Opal brings me up to speed about what's going on. So there was this elder named Tempest, which I was familiar with, but not intimately so. They are very volatile, and as the Tempest name might suggest, everything like that. But it allows you to connect with an alternate reality version of yourself and share knowledge and power between the two of you, which is kind of crazy. That there could be an alternate reality Emrys out there. The Pride specifically have this like artifact power thing that's magic in nature called the Seed of Wonder, and or they had it, and it like connected them to magic but also to each other. And Tempest wanted this item or this thing because they believed that it would allow like the connection to exist like between their alternate reality selves to be strengthened or to do like things with it they weren't able to before. It was a little unclear what their intentions were with it, but that was their ultimate goal. And to get it, they basically wiped out the planet of people, stole the Seed of Wonder, and left the planet in ruin. Um, Apparently, in the meantime, the Pride have been on the run and kind of like hiding these small cells just to make sure that like the rest of them don't get wiped out. But apparently, it's been decades since like anyone's tried to attack them. So it sounds like they kind of the Tempest got what they wanted, got out, and just like don't really care anymore. But as you can imagine, these people are still driven very much by vengeance, which something Emrys like sympathized with. Is like he's like, listen, Emrys are a warrior race. Like you come and wipe out my planet, like I'm not gonna stop until like every last one of you is dead. And Conrad had mentioned something along the lines of like they're out there like taking out like lowers of the Tempest, like acolytes and stuff like that, like hunting them down and killing them, and all that kind of stuff, just like in the name of vengeance. And Opal had made the point like, um, it's like their innocence, like they had nothing to do with like the attack on the world or anything like that. And Emrys is like, I mean, to be fair, as like they serve the person who was responsible for it, and it's not like it's not like they were born into an empire and their empire did terrible things. Emrys is like, I can sympathize with that. I was like, these people actively chose to follow. So like there's consequences with that. Like there's consequences to actively choosing. Like there's one thing being born into something, it's another to actively choose to follow something, because when you do that, you in a sense soak up their ideals, their causes, their, and then, like it's just one of those ones where it's like Emrys is so with the elders, and he's already having like misgivings about it, because he was young and naive when he got into it, and he kind of admitted his naivety to Conrad and to Opal about that situation. And it's like, as someone who's grown a bit since then, like I realized that the Harlequin has her own agenda as far as things go, and there are going to people, and with any kind of agenda, there are going to be people who are supporting it, but then there's also going to be people that oppose it. The the conversation kind of goes to they're growing a new seed of wonder, and apparently Simon, one of the kids, and by kids I mean he's like in his late teens, early 20s, like he's not super young, was exposed to it because people apparently, like Opal was one of the ones that was exposed to the last seed, like the original seed of wonder, and it's like it allows, like it kind of gives them this some pretty impressive like magical abilities and everything like that. Beyond like the connections and stuff that we were talking about earlier. And it's like usually I guess it used to be have to be done in like only kids. Like it's kind of like one of those desperate times call for desperate measures, and like it can be a very painful process, and sometimes even fatal. So it's like yeah, like the kind of like risk associated with it. But like they're working on it, and they're working on picking out a new planet to 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 settle on, like to kind of start over, and they want Opal to come with them because like she is a member of that race, and Opal doesn't really want to do that, or at least is apprehensive about it, or doesn't like yeah, I guess we'll say she doesn't want to do it, like she's not feeling it. But he's ultimately saying like the choice is hers, which is good, which is a good departure from like the people coming to attack and kidnap her and Ember's having to fight them off. Um, so there's that. And Ember's kind of like departs some saying like it's like the he's basically saying that like these people, the Spark, which is like a group within his like the survivors that basically want vengeance, they want retribution, they want justice for what happened to their planet, their people, all that kind of stuff. And Ember's just like, like I get it, like that's that's completely fair. Your people were in there, like they were wiped out, and it's like you need to, and Opal was like very leery about leading her people back into war, which she should be too. Like from what it stands, like it was just 20 years ago that this world was like wiped out. So it's very, they certainly haven't had a chance to repopulate, to to rebuild, to like restructure themselves or anything like that. Like they're like still much in that very much that survivor stage of, especially considering the way they've been living like in these cells, like isolated from each other and everything. But like now they're like looking to regroup and rebuild, and she's like, I don't want to lead our people into war, and he's like truthfully, like I don't either. He's like, but like the hunger for it is there, and Embers is like, listen, it's like I'm gonna be real with you here as far as like as a military thing goes. He's like I come from a military family. He's like, even though I don't walk that path, I'm at least familiar with it. And I was like, you guys, because he's like, I think Conrad made something. He's like, I have a dream of like houses on beaches and schools with children, and like teaching our history and everything like that. And Ambrose is like, he's like, that's all well and good. I was like, but I was like, you can also change your culture. I was like, you can push yourself forward on a different path. It's like you can have those vistas, you can have those moments where it's like you have your children gathered around like in a school learning like together as like a unified like race or people. I was like, but as like you can also train them to fight. You can train them for the fight that is coming. And it's like he kind of like did that, like some warrior race stuff to him. It's like, you know, you can have hatred and you can have it drive you. It's like as long as it doesn't consume you. It's like that's where you have to be concerned. Like you can, it's like, and he's like, it's like realistically everything you said is like you're completely justified in it. So it's like maybe whenever you're restructuring things here, it's like maybe you make yourself to be a warrior race. Like you know, part of growing up is learning to fight, is to use your ability to like use these abilities that some of their people at least have, to prepare for the upcoming thing. But most importantly, like seek out allies. And he's like, well, who do you have in mind specifically? And I was like, that's not my place to say, like, because I can't like enter my family into that war or anything like that. I was like, but it's like that's not my place to do, because this is something I don't know or understand. I was like, but what you need to realize is, if Tempest has done this, there's likely factions out there that has something like this has happened before. And I was like, even just like speaking as like informally about it with my family, specifically Makoto, is that he mentioned that like the failing the your world being destroyed was a failure on his part, to protect people who are a part of the Republic. And it's like, going to him is like is an option. Now, like I said, you might not get the answers you want out of it. Like he might not be willing to just go wage war on an elder like that. But it's like you need to build up a base beyond your people who want vengeance, because like and then he kind of like told the tame version of the Elder's Bane story, specifically that there's this dude out here that hates the elders and all that they stand for. That like their time is kind of past and everything like that, and he's like a second to Zero like level power gainer. So it's like you could imagine he's like his life has cultivated this power, like everything that has led up to it, and he's leading this crusade against the elders, and he was killed incidentally to that, in the sense that he had his eyes on the prize to kill not just one elder, but all elders. And before he got to that, he just crossed the wrong group of people who didn't know who he was, didn't know what his mission was, but they're like, "Yeah, you're trying to kill me. I'm gonna kill you," and he ended up dying in the process. And I was, it was a very, because Opal had like kind of, again, like it's kind of a story where Emrys dances around some of the details, especially that Makoto was there and helped, but because he's like, well, the Harlequin came and like aided you, and I was like, no, like Harlequin wasn't there. I was like, I was like, like it was basically Emrys and his allies that that ended the Elder's Bane, and I was like, Emrys, like, I'm as Emrys is tied to the Harlequin, but it's like it's not like the Harlequin showed her face to defend her people. It's just like you need to understand, like amongst that ranking of acolytes and everything like that, like the elders attract people who are seeking power, so you're gonna run into some very powerful people, and like I said, this guy had grown his power to be at that level, to be like someone who could destroy multiple worlds. But was ultimately cut down before he could even approach his goal, just because he went out there with this kind of fervent, like kind of, I guess, like kind of brash plan. Like I want to say, like, not extremist, but like narrow-minded plan of taking down something. And this is like kind of Emrys spoke from like a military perspective. It was like, a crusade. That's what I was looking for. Like he basically went on a crusade for it, but like didn't seem like he prepared himself for everything that might be showing up. Like he basically just relied on his power, and that like the people that he was taking out were like well below his power. Like yeah, that's like a gamble to take as far as things go. So he kind of has like this like decently, I don't know, like the conversation came off pretty well as far as like uh you know Emrys didn't want to just take his side outright, because he did agree with a lot of the stuff that Opal was saying. It's like, yeah, your people aren't you shouldn't be going to war now, especially not now. It's like if you want to rebuild, you should rebuild. If you want to rebuild with a focus on vengeance, rebuild with that in mind. Like turn your people into warriors, get them ready to fight, because he even admitted something like along the lines that from what they've seen over the times past, it's like Tempest got what they needed. Like they don't have any interest in the pride anymore. Like it was just like a means to an end. Like they had something they needed, they came in and they took it. Like it's not like they need a second seed or anything like that. Like they got the seed they needed, and they got whatever they wanted out of it. Like a second one's not going to make any difference. So yeah, like that was that, and Conrad asked, if he could avoid like pressing any kind of charges, like especially like attacking like one of Makoto's household, and I was like, I have no interest in it, but it's like ultimately it's up to Opal if she wants to do anything, and she's like, no, of course not. And I said, yep, consider it done, and he kind of thanked me, and I was like, listen, I was like, I can't promise you much. I was like, I'm not someone who has like the ear of my family when it comes to like these large scale political matters, like because it's not the life I live. I was like, but what I can do is if you have a request, because they're planning on leaving the Republic, and it's like if you need assistance, or if you feel that just like anything along those lines, like if you need a doorway to speak, to those kind of people, I was like, I could at least provide that for you. It's like, even though you did just try to kidnap my girlfriend, which I like, it was just kind of a, I know he didn't do it, or at least that doesn't seem like what was happening, where like it wasn't his doing. Like he was, obviously very upset with his people for trying to do it. But it's like, that's the least I can, I can do for you, because it is, just from that dinner that they had earlier, it's like Makoto at least sees it, or maybe it was Hash, and I can't remember which one said. Both of them, I think, kind of expressed this idea though that it was a failing on their part to protect that world. So, as far as like potentially making things right, like this is kind of that step of, I will reach out if you ask me to, but only if you ask me to, because he asked me to keep everything else in the down low, which is just like, man, like freaking Emerus, the keeper of secrets at this point, because people are lining up to pull him into stuff. Be like, yeah, you can't tell anybody about this. So that was that. We kind of shift our way through the night. Everyone's like, Opal's very emotionally exhausted, and we call it there. The next day is like, we're getting ready to leave. Yeah, I go see Opal, like she's doing like her morning training routine, and we spend some like nice time together. We say our goodbyes for now, and she thanks me for everything, and like I said, because it was something like I kind of put together. She apologizes for the whole kidnapping bit, and I was like, she's like, kind of felt like something like that happened. I was like, I kind of hoped it wouldn't, but it's like, just in our, I was like, given our circumstances, like who we are, where we are, and everything like that, you know, something like that's always possible. But it's like we made it through it together, and that was kind of like one of those nice little things, because like that's kind of what brought us together. The first point was like those trials and tribulations, like, especially with the Cerberus and with Quintus and all those people, like the just like that kind of craziness. So like another thing to kind of bring us together a bit more. Yeah, so that I take her to the spaceport and see her off, and Wing is there waiting for me when I get back to the cottage to kind of get ready to leave, and he said he's taking me to see Silver. I'm like, oh wow, like, because I had thought like I'm gonna come back at some time and do this, like I was gonna like draft up some armor, like basically talk like the conversation with Silver was like more just to open the door. It wasn't like actively looking for anything at this point. Like it wasn't like, hey, lend me your power or anything like that. It's like you served with my family for generations now at this point, and it's like I'm Danzo's grandson. Like I'd like to get to know Danzo, and I'd like to get to know his partner in a sense, like the person who served with him all that time. More of a curiosity than anything else. So I go there to the Silver Isles, and there's this woman. What's her name? Lorelai, and she's kind of like the guardian or the watcher, the caretaker, I guess, in a sense. Like she's an SS3, of course she is, of Silver, and um, we meet, and she kind of like sizes me up and everything like that, and like I kind of have a little bit of a conversation with her, and I like, kind of ask like, well, is there anything I should do, shouldn't do, like what's the process here? And she walks me through it, and basically that I take this silver flame, it'll guide me to Silver, and so I found out Silver is a female dragon, if that matters, because I think I said like before there's like him, but it's a her, and yeah, like she walks me through the process. She talks about how she's like bonded to Silver, and like they have like this kind of like close connection where it's like he's a protector of Ran, or she's a protector of Ran, a part of Ran, and all that kind of things. Um, and she says she kind of like liked my inquisitive nature, but like also like some people are like, she's like, don't be flippant, like don't be, just like be respectful kind of thing. It was a large takeaway, but there was some more to it. And I know she had like these silver flame tattoos on her wrist, and it reminded me of mine. And I like, kind of like was like looking to it, and I was like, she's like, because they were like a bond, like, to show that she was bonded and everything. And hold on a second. Where did we leave off here? I think I was talking about the preparation of going to see Silver, and basically, Laura, Loria, I think that's what it was, or was it Lorelai? Possibly, I think it was the second one. Was walking me through the process of what I need to do, like going to the cave, following the flame, be respectful, all that kind of stuff. I had no idea what to expect with this. In Emrys's mind, like I said, it was more of just a sitting down and getting to know kind of thing. But yeah, so I go through the process, make my way down there. She's I meet Silver. She's pretty incredible. And she like gets right up my face and everything like that, and like, you know, what's my purpose here, and or who are you? And I was like, Emrys, son of Hashan. I said Emrys, blood of Makoto, son of Hashan, grandson of Danzo. Give her the whole title. Why I'm here, I think that becomes obvious. And she's like, you know, what is your purpose here? And I was like, honestly, just to kind of know to know you and to know Danzo better. Basically, the idea being that, excuse me, that Makoto walked a very different path than Danzo did. So I guess I never really get the perspective of him so much. And just hearing a little bit about the temple and everything like that kind of piqued my interest, I guess you could say. But yeah, you know, getting getting to know someone who has served my family in some way, and I'm sure my family has served Silver as well. Like it's not like it's not like I guess that was something that was worded. It was like as far as it's a partnership goes, between Silver and Makoto and formerly Danzo. Yeah, so it's just you know, it's like I know Silver like not belongs to, but like is like officially Makoto, so that's like Emrys isn't gonna go there and be like, hey, Silver, like lend me some of your power or something like that. It's like that's Makoto's thing. Sorry. So she says like she basically won't share any information with me, even like because like I wasn't looking for like deep intimate details. Like I was just looking for like general vibes and stuff like that, like just kind of as far as that goes. And she said like that I'll be tested through power to determine my character. And she ends up giving me these two silver flame tattoos on the palms of my hand. And I understand like that they're both one-time uses, and I guess it's like how I use them that will determine. Like it's just kind of her getting a feel for who I am and stuff like that. And that's pretty much where that ends. Like she's like, you know, after I've used them, come back and yeah, we'll see how things panned out. And I get out and I wake up and I start talking with Lorelai and Wing because I got like transported out by this silver flame, and I was, you know, she's like, you know, don't people, you know, bullshit in here as far as like just don't, like some people go out there and like they seek to use them for great things or great purpose. It's just like just use them to be true to yourself. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of weird and awkward because it's like you're clearly being tested, but like don't use them as if you're being tested, despite the fact that you know that you're being tested. And she said, "Yep," and I was like, "Yep, that's fair enough." And I was just thinking, like, yeah, Emrys is like, well, then I was like, you know, if that's the case, like, I only use them when I absolutely need it, and just go out living my life. And then whenever we cross that bridge, if we do, uh, we'll do it, and if not, then we'll just put like getting to know Silver on a back burner kind of thing. Like, you know, he's got enough going on in his life. It's not like a life's ambition to get to know Silver or to like gain Silver's power or anything crazy like that. So yeah, we'll go out there and keep doing what we're doing. And given what Emrys does, like I'm sure it'll come up eventually. Apparently, these things are very destructive in nature and pretty powerful. Because as you can imagine, like silver dragons are pretty powerful. At least I guess inside of Legends, like mythical beast goes and everything like that. So I kind of say my goodbyes, and Lorelai had made this comment where she had actually known my grandfather, and I was like, hey, I was like, you know, I was like, one of the real reasons I came here is like just to kind of get like a little bit of a glimpse to it. I was like, uh, that's what I was like. Makoto followed a very different path, so a lot of what Donzo taught and how he was is kind of like lost to me. I was like, outside of like getting to learn a little bit about him at his temple and everything, I was like, can I, take you out to dinner sometime? Like maybe just like ask you a little bit about it. And she's like, yeah. Silver's very slow to warm up to people. Like she's very, very cautious. She's just like, but yeah, we could do that. And like, just to be clear here, like Everest wasn't hitting it or anything like that. It's like she's probably like I say in her 90s and everything like that. Well, she looks like she's in her 60s, but still like built really well because she's a Saiyan and that age kind of holds up. Like the whole Saiyans don't crack thing. um, yeah. So, but she has to go off world for some time. And I was like, yeah, no, no rush, no inconvenience or anything like that. It's just, something I'd like to do. And especially someone who knew with him and who trained with him. And she's like, no, don't get me wrong, I didn't know him like, well. Like I wasn't like someone who served with him for long periods of time or was by his side. I was like, no, I was hoping to catch a couple stories and you know, like it's just whatever it was. Like it just kind of Emmer's taking a little bit more of an interest in his past. Um, Whatever was convenient with her. And Wing said he'd set something up, so I said, "Oh, great, awesome." So we had our separate ways, and I start flying home in my ship. I have a little send off with Wing. I was like, "Hey, listen, like, is there anything you need from me? Like, you did a lot for me while you're here, you know." He's like, "Nope, duty, but it was a pleasure. Like, it was nice to deal with you and everything like that. Like, you didn't cause any trouble, and just seemed like a generally all around nice dude." And I was like, yeah, if you ever need anything, hit me up. I owe you one. Like the power show was amazing, and it was a nice thing. Emrys is very much in that business of, I don't want to say trading favors in a sense, but like, he does run a business, so it's like if you can make those contacts, especially Super Saiyan 3 contacts, hey, uh, doesn't hurt to have another one who thinks of you well enough that if someone steps up and wants to try some stuff with you when I'm around Ran, maybe I don't have to call Uncle Makoto. Maybe Wing shows up and be like, yeah, you need to let Everest alone. Like, you need to mind your business. And I was like, yes, my friend Wing here. uh, and yeah, so that was our send off, and we're flying through space, getting back. It doesn't take too long, but I get this like kind of warrior instinct that someone else is on the ship. Like it's difficult. Like I don't outright sense them, but like there's something there. So I start looking around, and there starts to be these signs that like someone was here, and like maybe move some stuff around. And I was thinking like, so Wing had my ship moved, and I was like, maybe someone like went through my stuff or something like that. But I didn't have anything here that was overly sensitive because like this was just a vacation. So like, I'm concerned, but like the fact there's someone way here, so kind of like on guard, and it turns out it's Tetsu there, and he looks kind of messed up, like not on his deathbed, but like he's been in a fight or something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, Tetsu, what's wrong? Like, what happened? Emerson's like mind's racing, like was he on the run? Is Pan okay? What happened here? And he's like, it was me. I was the one that killed your people, and now I have your people. And if you ever want to see them alive, you're going to do exactly what I say. And I was just kind of like taken back because he's known Tetsu. I wouldn't say like he knows him intimately by any means, but like just the general the things that he's done, it didn't make sense to him. Like the their interactions basically through Pan, like he was kind of a proxy to that, where he was her commander, and it's just like the things that he had done, the opportunities he had given her. Like Tetsu was like always very appreciative, but like he even went out of his way, so like kind of giving Emrys this dagger, which I translated. Let me look back at my notes because this is important because I and Emrys needs to figure out what the heck is going on here. Bear with me here as I scroll through pages. Okay, so there was Bane. Okay, repair the blade Tetsugami used in blood magic. The deeper the bond grows, the deeper the wound becomes. That was the message that was relayed to me through it. And I always wondered if it was like something about talking about loss of comrades or something like that, or what. But it was also like a weird process to repair it. Like I said, it's used in blood magic. So there could be something there where like the more that you and the more that you use that blade, like the deeper the wound becomes, like in a sense of the more it costs you to use it. So like it could have been a metaphor, but it also could have been like a bit of a warning or something like that. uh, Unsure exactly. It was left a mystery and I never got to follow it up with them, but here we are. So maybe we'll get that opportunity. That's where I was ultimately put on pause. So Emerson's left with a lot of questions. He's also in a bit of disbelief. He's like, why'd you do it? Like that was his first thing. We'll see what happens from there.